YNW Melly will have a second bond hearing on Tuesday, May 6, 2025. Raven Liberty, the rap artist's lawyer, will make the case for Melly's bond. In the courtroom, a lawyer would write, "Judge Fiend in the Melly case looks to be seriously contemplating a dismissal. He looks pissed." With relation to YNW Melly's release date, this is a significant change. Additionally, the state continues to behave as though the case is a trivial annoyance, disobeying orders and failing to prepare for hearings. However, the prosecutors were responsible for all of this since they did the worst thing possible by creating the conditions for YNW Bortland to turn on YNW Melly. To have Bortland and Melly tried together, they merely filed the necessary paperwork, and for the same cause.
You can try them together. It is to the benefit of the state to try them together, just more efficient. You don't have to do things again and again, do it all at once, and also get a better chance of having them incriminate each other during the trial. It benefits the defense to sever it. That way they can point the finger at each other and get away with it. So this is what's going on. But I don't think it should be automatically severed because the state is seeking a penalty for Melly, because it's only the penalty phase of the trial that would be different, not the guilt phase. The guilt phase is the same. They're both capital crimes. You're seeking the penalty on one, not the other, but that goes into the second part of the trial, the penalty phase, only if Melly is...
It's likely that YNW Bortland would blame Melly and tell Sackchaser and Juvie what truly transpired, because he clearly can't sit there and accept life in prison if he knows he didn't commit this grave crime. In the first trial, Melly's lawyers tried to blame Borland for this, something you may not be aware of.
Those were his lies. Cortland Henry shows up at Memorial Hospital, Miramar. You don't see him sitting there, but where you will see him sitting is in the driver's seat of a car with two bodies, a car riddled with bullets. And when he shows up with a change of clothing, change of shirt, powder residue on his hands, evidencing that he had discharged a firearm. And he lies. He lies about where the incident occurred. He lies about how it occurred. And he lies about not having a phone. I think it was Miss Bradley herself who said, everybody has a phone in his pocket, not Cortland Henry.
Bortland was the one who had been lying to the federal authorities. According to Melly's own lawyer, Sackchaser and Juvie even brought up a forensic scientist who covered the killings to provide information on Bortland's possession of the powder residue, even though he was the last person to be with them.
So the right hand of Cortland Henry contained 0 particles characteristic of pot residue and two component particles. And the left hand contained 1 particle characteristic of pot residue and 1 2-component particle.
Okay. And can you explain to us what that means?
Basically, overall, there was pot residue present on the hands.
The rumor that circulated after Melly's mistrial was granted was that Werland tweets a mysterious message on the same day Melly's mistrial was declared, because YNW Borland had already sought revenge as soon as that court day ended. It said, "Mind games don't work on people like me." A handshake emoji was also added, implying that he was agreeing to a deal with his lawyers to remain silent and wait for Melly's sentencing to be completed. It was eye-opening for the court, since he would urge Melly's lawyers to provide evidence in support of her release as a defense. Melly's lawyers would then share this evidence with Court Fiend, pointing out that no handgun was ever found.
So the first thing is I didn't have a firearm, so I can't know which firearm I'm going to use in order to replicate any of my tests. So I can't make tests for this determination because I don't know what was used.
Okay.
Melly's GPS evidence of sprinting down the street at the crime scene was also revealed.
The part where he's saying that someone just shot the car up and was trying to shoot them. So I asked him if he was okay, where he was, and he's like, there's a car coming behind him, and I'm hiding. He was like, there's some, yeah, he's like, yeah, there's some, I think they're still out here or something. So I'm like, are you okay? He's like, I'm okay. I said, well, where are Sack and Juvie? And he said, I don't know if they're in the car. think they're
Melly did this to support the new Portland facts. He revealed that there was never a firearm found, supporting the drive-by allegations as WW. But the GPS also indicates that WW. Despite Melly's attempt to escape the crime scene, he left a likeness on the video. If you believe is enough to get him released, it's because the prosecutors weren't afraid to come forward and show the newly appointed judge another shocking piece of evidence that would reveal Melly's motivation. A renegade Oblak member recently snitched on Melly, exposing that his refusal to split the money with Sack Chaser and Juvie was the driving force behind the crime.
Really tell you that Melly told him that he was two friends?
He ain't come out and say, like, we got into an argument. And so, you know, if you know, when people could say something without saying it. And so he told me, like, once I posted what I posted, Vaughn was mad at me. Bro, why you put up there, bro? Go out the fam. I'm like, you sitting up here, like, you know the love we got. You do this for us, but you gonna trust that his two friends? And he said, them was trying to extort him. And so I'm like, if they was trying to extort him, then why are you still around them?
The name YW is also a registered business LLC, where Melly and Portland would perform concerts, sell merchandise, and run promotions in exchange for money that would be funneled through the bank account and distributed to each member of YNW. Sakasa and Juvie sat back and collected a cut of the money while doing zero work, which YW Melly didn't want to do anymore. However, when you combine this with the evidence also found on Melly's phone, this is where it gets interesting. He would send a text message hours after the crime, essentially admitting to
Gambino account asked him if he was okay, and his response was, I did that, and placed a smiley face emoji.
And the next message from 10/26/2018 at 16:02 from Eastern Standard Time. The YNW Melly account says what?
After that, SHHHH.
police. Discovered on Melly's phone a recorded video from a Facebook Live that captured Melly and Borland's response to the crime just 6 hours after it was perpetrated.
Melly still turned regardless of what happened this early morning. He's still out here being very positive. Turned still. Hey! The dog still turned, regardless of what happened. You already know.
Showing not even an ounce of sadness for the passing of their two best friends. But what you didn't know is there's something even scarier occurring behind the scenes.
Team displaying no remorse at all for the deaths of their two best friends. But you were unaware that there was something even more terrifying going on behind the scenes. The prosecutor's slow pace of presenting evidence against Melly was all part of a very safe plan, and they discovered disturbing evidence in Mariah's iCloud account, which relates to Melly forcing her to not testify at the initial trial. Is known as witness tampering, and it carries a life sentence in prison, regardless of whether Melly actually removed Sack Chaser and Juvie.
State filing 6 new charges against Demons and 2 others who were allegedly involved. The charges include tampering with a witness, directing the activities of a criminal, solicitation or conspiracy to commit tampering, and unlawful use of a two-way communication device. Now, a couple of those charges actually carry a life in prison sentence if there's a conviction.
Given that Melly has already been found not guilty in one mistrial, there is a real chance that he will be found not guilty for Sack Chaser and Juvie's deaths. However, if there is solid evidence that Melly told his ex-girlfriend not to testify and that he is guilty of witness tampering, he will be sentenced to life in prison regardless of the outcome. This is a separate court case from the original one, which means that more lawyer fees will be incurred because Mariah was arrested upon her arrival in the United States last month. She agreed to testify against Melly in the next trial as long as she could be released from jail. And she agreed by writing on Facebook, "Thank you to my village. I love you all so much. God's plan, not mine."
Mariah Hamilton is spending her first day at the Broward County Jail. She has no arrest record until now. U.S. Border Patrol agents arrested her at Miami International Airport Monday after she arrived on an international flight. Court records show Hamilton was ordered to testify in Demon's first trial in 2023.
The feds have already acknowledged that they had the proof since his witness tampered with WW, which is the scariest part. Melly hasn't been permitted to use a phone in jail for the past few months. It even became that his mother, Jamie King, exposed the county jail for denying her son access to a phone in an interview.
My son has not been convicted of anything, and even other inmates that have been convicted or anything, they have the right to use a telephone. They have a right to just to be allowed to write letters to their loved ones, to receive their mail. They hold his mail, they don't give it to him.
However, they must have the actual evidence stored away, because if it's true that Melly has been using the jail phones to tamper with witnesses, they wouldn't have stopped him from using them if it was just a suspicion. They have concrete evidence, and as a result, Jamie King would say she's devastated for her son and feels powerless because he's not even being treated like.
You saw Melly's statement just saying how he's been hurt, how he's scared for his life. As a mother, how did that make you feel?
It's heartbreaking. It made me feel completely helpless. Broward Sheriff's Office definitely needs to be investigated. I mean, they are making up their own rules. We tried to go to court about this situation. The judge really doesn't have any jurisdiction when it comes to the jail, because we actually had a hearing about the mistreatment of him, and the jail they make their own rules. And I don't think that's fair, because I know that they...
What more do we know about YNW Melly's mother, though, given that she made headlines when she revealed she created a fan account when he was on trial and then appeared in an interview discussing her motivations and earnings?
You decided to break the internet the other day. You're saying that you're YNW Melly's mom and you're about to hit fans.
Why not? You make money while you sleep, and I turned 40 this year. Why not do something crazy?
Did you start it yet, though?
What? My only... Yeah.
How much you made the first day? I just need to know the first day.
The first day was pretty epic. It was pretty epic.
Give me a ballpark figure.
Like 40-ish, 50.
One day?
Day one.
This would end up taking the...
This would become so popular on the internet that even DJ academics had to...
YNW Melly's mom has announced that she's going to be starting her own... And I got to be honest with y'all, man. Like, this is perplexing. The reason why it's perplexing is because I can't understand why she's doing this. Your son is fighting for his life. How much, there's certain mothers in hip hop, and you probably could name a few, I won't name all of them, that I feel like their son became stars, but they also wanted to be stars as well. Blueface's mom is one of them. The situation between Melly's mom and Melly, I always thought was interesting, but I never thought she'd be doing this. If you're wondering if she's doing this for money, this can't be a money play. Like, no way, no how.
Even though academics say it has nothing to do with money, fans would look into it and discover a No Joker interview with Adam B. Slim and Jamie King from 2 years ago. In it, Adam would tell Melly's mother that he imagines Melia spent a lot of money on lawyers, and she would just sit back and start laughing. His own brother, YWB Slime, would then call out his brother for making foolish purchases.
I would assume that he spent a lot of money on lawyers. Like an amount that would probably...
That kid spent a lot of money on a lot of things that shouldn't have been spent on.
Really? Like what else?
And cars, jewelry. And he's not even out to wear the jewelry. I'm like, why are you buying jewelry? You're not here to wear the jewelry.
No, definitely lawyers are probably the best thing you can spend.
That's what bro. But
Yeah.
he's good with lawyers, bro. Like, money ain't an issue for lawyers. Like, he's fine, but it's just like, there was a lot of stuff that should have went to lawyers that he didn't spend on lawyers. And I'm like, bro. And now it's like, he don't even...
It's crucial to what Jamie King has been going through, having to watch son go through a trial to this extent, especially after being accused of committing such a serious crime. However, after more investigation, some fans believe Melly's mother is also earning this money to support the second court case of the witness tampering charge. The fan account could also just be an outlet for her to clear her mind from her son's trial, as we all witnessed during the original trial, when Melly had to repeatedly ask her if she was okay.
Sorry.
We'll just. Don't do it.